Good afternoon. Let's talk about writing an introduction. Take two. So, your next part of your paper is writing an introduction. When you're writing an introduction, you're going to be looking to do a few specific things, some of which are different than what I think most of you have probably been taught. All right? So, let me talk to you a little bit about what I consider an introduction to be. When you're writing an academic paper, an introduction begins and serves as a road map for the reader for what you're going to write and how you're going to write it. Okay? So when you write an introduction, you have to keep that in mind. So let's start from the beginning. Most of you had a high school English teacher somewhere who told you that all stories needed to start with a hook, a grabber, something that would interest the reader right off the bat, that would grab them by the throat and pull them in. And the thing is, that's well and good for a lot of specific types of stories. That's well and good, and I tell my news writers that they're looking for something along those lines, but when you're looking for something like this in an academic piece, that isn't always what you have to be looking for. Instead, I want you to introduce the topic. Now, if you are a talented writer who feels comfortable trying to catch my attention right off the bat, go for it and take that approach. But if you feel like your talents may be in just getting the story done, the best way to approach this is to write what your story is going to be about. That's the way you approach it. That's the way you write it. So as you start your story or start your paper, explain to the reader exactly what it is you're going to be writing about. Example, if you were writing about gun control, your introduction, your first few sentences might be something along the lines of the issue of gun control is one that is well written and well known in this country. Whether or not people should be killed by guns every day has become a problem. Whether or not we can stop and get guns out of people's hands has become an even bigger problem. Something along the lines of going straight forward and explaining exactly what the issue with gun control is. That's what you need to be writing. Once you've done that, once you've given the reader an idea of what you're writing about, you need to lock in what the topic of your paper is. That means that in other classes, you would have a teacher or a professor telling you, this is where you write your thesis sentence. This is where you write the part of your story that is going to be telling the writer or the reader exactly what you're writing about. But in this paper, you're not writing a thesis sentence, you're writing a research question. So this is where you write your research question. Paragraph 3, paragraph 4. What is your paper about? Get your research question out there. Then the end of your introduction consists of you explaining your approaches and how you're going to answer that question. Is gun control a major issue in the United States? There's your question. It's difficult to actually answer that question without looking at 3 different points of view. One is how the media portray guns in the United States. 2 is how do the law set up the issues of guns from the Second Amendment all the way to Heller versus DC. The 3rd is what role do politics play in the idea and message of guns. You set this up, you write those 3 things, you explain how you're going to be covering that, and now you have an introduction. Your introduction should be somewhere between a page and a page and a half for a 10 to 12 page story. It should not be any longer. Your introduction is the most important part of your paper. I will repeat that. Your introduction is the most important part of your paper. Writing a good introduction will prepare the reader for what you're writing about and will help you as you write the rest. So work hard on your introduction, get it turned in, and we'll go from there. Everyone have a wonderful day. I will talk with you all later.